everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining in with me today. I'm Debbie Jo from the Journey Into You Healing group. I want to welcome everyone here today. I want to put out a huge welcome to all of our new members. We just keep growing and growing and growing, which to me is very exciting. Happy to have everyone here. I'm hoping, and my prayer is that you will get knowledge or information or assistance, guidance, whatever it is that you're looking for from joining with us and tuning in. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday. It's been a wonderful day here in Rigby, Idaho. Blue sky, sunshine, a little bit of breeze, but what's more exciting for me about today is since I put the posts out this morning of what the Journey Into You Live was going to be about, I've received several more questions in Messenger. So forgive me if I'm looking down at papers and stuff. I jotted them down, and my goal is to get them all answered for you. So any questions that you have that you didn't think of, or if anyone didn't send any in, feel free to go ahead and put those in the comments or send me a private message. Either way works for me. So a couple of things, housekeeping tips as usual. If you're joining me live, which I'm grateful that you are, make an emoji, a comment or something so that I know that you're there. I can see the eyeballs, but I don't know who's looking at me or who I'm looking at. So if you could do that, that would be great. Also, if you're going to be watching later, put hashtag replay in the comments there so that I also know that you're in there watching at a later time. So today, again, what we're doing is we are talking about what is the Journey Into You healing program. What is Journey Into You? Hi, Betty. Thanks for joining. Happy to have you here. What is Journey Into You? What is the Journey Into You healing program? Back in the beginning of the group, I did talk about that, and I do have videos on what is Journey Into You and the technique itself. And I will put links for the videos that I refer to throughout today's live in the post and show you where you can go and find them. To get more detailed information, today is going to be a little more brief. So hopefully I'll be able to answer most of the questions that I've gotten. Some are about the terminology. And again, there's a video about that, but I'll go over some of that briefly. Some is about the techniques, both Journey Into You and the Downregulate. Again, there are videos, and I think our live, either last week or the week before, we did talk about the Downregulate, which was the technique that I used with the students, parents, and faculty from the Rigby Middle School shooting. So, fascinating technique. And then there are questions now about the Journey Into You healing program, which is fairly new. And so we'll get into that here in a little bit. But again, I do have the videos on some terminology and session and my story that goes into more detail, and I'll attach the links for that. So let's start off with who am I? Most of you know me as, hi, I'm Debbie Jo, creator of the Journey Into You healing technique, which I am. And you have access to my story, however it is lengthy, I think 9 parts, but fascinating, interesting. If you want to take the time to read that, it's in the guides. But briefly, who I am, I came from a background, multifaceted background in different areas of life, you know, marriage, divorce, kids, stepkids, all of those things, in and out of church, drinking, alcohol, drugs, all of those things. That's all in my story. Hi, Joe. Happy to be here. I'm happy you're here. I'm reading yours. Happy to be here. Yes, go ahead and listen to the recording later if you have to jump off. But thanks for hopping on. I appreciate it. Anyway, so my story goes through all of that part of my life. But what I want to go to today is the part of my life where I started learning about my gifts, the part of my life where I started realizing that I wanted to be a healer, someone that assisted people on their healing journeys. And so that started over 25 years ago. And it started with me doing distant healing. I was introduced to distant healing. I was introduced to herbs and herbology and also iridology. So that's really where I started. And the distant healing is very fascinating. And throughout the years, I have learned that you can do anything distant because energy is energy and energy travels. And I'm also including the downregulate, which is a hands-on technique, but it can be done distant. I've done it and people experience the results with it distant as well. So distant healing, I did for several years, worked on many people in the world that I still have never met face to face. And back when I was doing it, we didn't have Facebook Live, we didn't have Zoom, we didn't have all of these things where you could connect with people from a long distance away. So it was just done with a brief phone call, and then I would do my thing and check in with them, later that day or in a day or two, and see what results they experience. So it's very powerful. I still do it today. And again, I say I do it with all of my techniques. So something I'll never stop doing. I love doing distant healing. So then in 1999, I went to massage school, and coming out of massage school, started my own healing business. It was called Heart and Hands Therapeutic Massage at that time. I had quit a good paying job with benefits at one of our largest employers around here, the Idaho National Engineering Laboratory. But I had that feeling inside that there was something more. I had that feeling that I wasn't living up to what I came here to do. I wasn't in alignment with my purpose. And the day I was driving home from work and the ad came on the radio about the massage school, something inside spoke to me. I said, you need to do this. Even though I'd never had a massage before in my life. I didn't know anything about really getting a massage. However, that urge was strong enough that I followed through with it. So signed up and went to massage school. There's more detail in my story. Again, it's a fascinating story about the challenges and obstacles that might come along when you're moving into your purpose. So if you have time, go back and look through those. So again, massage school in 1999, it was called Heart and Hands Therapeutic Massage. In 2007, that business, I'm still in business since then, but in 2007, I was spiritually guided to create the Journey into You technique. And so at that point, to include that in, I changed the name of my business to Heart and Hands in the Spirit of Healing, and added the Journey into with it, because I was no longer just doing therapeutic massage. In massage school, I learned very quickly that there is more to us than just the physical. And underlying every physical illness, disease, or disorder, any physical ailment, there is generally an emotional component. So not only physical element, but emotional and spiritual. There's usually an emotional component underlying that. So I learned that in massage school. So then, again, as I said, in 2007, I was spiritually guided to create the Journey into You technique. Again, it's a fascinating story about how that came about. To me, the whole time I'm remembering it or relaying it to a person or even reading it that I wrote, it's in the guides, I still get the spirit bumps, which are goosebumps. I call them spirit bumps. And to me, that is a confirmation that what is being said, what's being read, what's happening is in alignment with who I am or with what I'm doing. So I would suggest, if you want to read anything about me in my story, I would go to that part. And I think it's either 8 or 9, the story about all the things that took place to get me to the point of creating the Journey into You technique. But if you're interested in hearing just that part of it in video, put video in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to post a video about that. As I said, I love talking about that part of the process. Being spiritually guided, and it's a confirmation that I know that this work is its time, it's in its time, it's powerful, and it's life-changing. So I know it's time it needed to come forward. So what is Journey Into You? It's an emotional energy healing technique. It works on all levels. It works at emotional level, mental, physical, and spiritual. And so how do you know if it would work for you? How do you know if you need it? So I describe it as it's a feeling like you're butting up against something in your life. It's a feeling like something is standing in your way. Or it's a feeling of, you know that something needs to change. Oh, thanks, Betty, for posting video. Yay! I was hoping somebody wanted to, because I love to share that part of my story. So thank you. It's a feeling of where I'm at in my life, what I'm doing doesn't feel in alignment with who I am. And I don't want to live my life like this anymore, even though you may not know who you are. So having the Journey Into You session can help you go back in within yourself and remember who that person is, who that part of you is, who that divine, unique being is, and bring that forward. It's all of those things, and that's just, I don't want to live my life like this anymore. So the Journey Into You will take you to the place that you need to go to be able to release that which is standing in your way, that what you feel like you're butting up against, that you feel like is stopping you from moving you forward. Again, do you need to know what it is? No, you don't. Even if you come and you think you might know what's standing in your way, oftentimes it's not even that we go to. It's amazing where Spirit guides us and directs us. And that's why I ask when you come here to not even share your past with me. Because I like to be, Journey Into You is a very spiritually guided technique with me as a conduit or a facilitator working through Spirit. The more that I know, the more you tell me and the more I know about you, the more this gets involved. And I don't want to come from here while I'm working on you in a session or working with you in a session. I want to be spiritually guided so we get exactly where you need to be. If this is involved, then my mind starts saying, well, maybe it's here, with the information that you've shared with me. Well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. I don't want any of that to interfere with your session. So, and so with that, clients are amazed at the places that they go back to. They're amazed at the memories that they go back to, that they didn't even, they may say, oh my gosh, yeah, I kind of remember that, but really, I can't believe that caused me to feel like this since I was 8 or whatever the age may be. They're also amazed at how easily it is to release that. And it really is. It's very non-intrusive. At times, through the sessions, I do have you go back to the memory and you revisit it in your mind and you bring up what it feels like. You don't share it with me. So at times, during that short part of the process, you may feel uncomfortable. You may feel the sadness or the anger or whatever emotional energy is attached to that memory. But again, it's for a very short time. And then at the end, again, as I said, the clients are amazed at how easy it was to let that go and how clear it is to go back to that memory and be able to see it, but not feel it. And then also look forward to where that pattern had showed up for them over and over and over again, and still not being able to see, or feel that emotional energy that was attached to it. So I love to hear the stories of how clients have found me. Some are like, I've driven by your house for 10 years, and then all of a sudden my car just veered off to the side. I've heard that one more than once. And when their car stops and they look around, they're sitting right in front of my house, which has a business sign hanging out front that they've never noticed until that day. Or they come, the corner of my property has a stop sign. So again, I've come to the stop sign twice a day, going to work and coming home from work. And I've done it for 10 years or however long. And all of a sudden one day I look up and there's your sign. I've never noticed it before. So that, and a lot of times it's I didn't even have a reason to go into this herb store, this bookstore, or wherever they stepped into. I didn't know why I was going in there until I came across your business card or your brochure or your cards and workbook. So all of those stories are fascinating to me. They bring me the spirit bumps. They make my heart swell because, again, it's confirmation to me that this work was divinely guided. It was spiritually given, and it's very powerful. And I have a saying that I like to use is, when the student is ready, I believe it's a Wayne Dyer saying, and I love him, but when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. So you could drive by my house for 10, 15, 20 years, and not until you're ready to take your journey and to move through that's holding you back, will you notice that I'm here. So again, fascinating to me. So let's see, where am I at? Okay, yeah, so when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. So from there, in about 2010, we're going from the Journey into Creation in 2007. So from there, in about 2010, I included the down-regulate technique. Now, this technique wasn't spiritually given to me. It was a technique I learned, but I have since been guided to take things from other techniques I've learned and a big portion of Journey into You and combine it into this, which now I call down-regulate, spiritually guided to call it down-regulate. and again, this also is a very powerful technique. There are testimonials in the group that you can read about this, and I think I posted one about Nancy. She left a testimonial. And also, well, it was Nancy that has the fibromyalgia, okay? Cheryl's testimonial that I put out there last week is about the Journey into You. So go into the guides, look at the testimonials, you'll be able to see the results that people have gotten. I have a lot more that I've not posted yet, but you'll get the idea. So we have talked about the down-regulate in the previous videos. But just briefly, it is bringing the body back to balance, working with the autonomic nervous system. And this also works. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining. Happy to see you here. This also works on all levels. The autonomic nervous system has 12 different systems, and that was, again, in the video last week, I believe. But it will work, help you and assist you in emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. So both techniques are very powerful and life-changing. They can be done as standalone techniques, but they also can be combined. Do them in a combination. So I'm going to read my friend Tara's testimonial. It's quite long, so I'm going to post it as well, but I'm going to read it today. And the reason for this is she has a very exquisite way of explaining what takes place, and she is talking about both techniques in combination. So it says, Debbie Jo on my first visit shared her suitcase analogy. We are born with a suitcase ready to collect the emotional energy experiences of this world. Some of us enter with baggage right from the beginning, intergenerational trauma, or we begin collecting at a young age with no one to teach us how to declutter. Some items are thrown at us by others that we inevitably end up packing away. The leather-worn suitcase gets heavy and slows us down, causing our muscles to ache and other physical ailments that affect us emotionally. Our progression slows, our body and mind begin to complain of the burden. The traumas or burdens we carry affect us at our very core, the brain and autonomic nervous system. Research explains that this dysfunction of our nervous system is at the heart of fibromyalgia, chronic pain, chronic fatigue syndrome, hormone imbalance, autoimmune disorders, mental health challenges, inability to lose weight, and a host of other ailments. As a massage therapist like Debbie Jo, I understand that the body is simply trying to tell you that it cannot hold on to these traumas and is trying to return to homeostasis, which is balance. In nature, this is evident, and even at a cellular level. The universe is always trying to come back into balance. How do we massage or touch our brains at the deepest level to correct the imbalance? How do we turn off the switch of a hyperactive sympathetic nervous system that has kept you physically and emotionally ready for impending assault for years? How do we finally not just put down the suitcase, but open the rusted hinges and dump out the offending clutter that weighed us down? Through personal experience, a life of research, study, and trial and error, Debbie Jo combined hands-on techniques with vibrational science that can reach the part of the brain to do with fight, flight, or freeze. In this two-part treatment, she first switches off the sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze switch, allowing the suitcase latch to finally open. Then, using vibrational healing techniques, she helps you unpack your worn suitcase piece by piece at your own speed. As a survivor of trauma and the parent of special needs kids, I have been researching and experimenting with healing the brain for over 20 years. I have often explained to others why we self-medicate or self-harm. We cannot simply reach into our brains and massage, so we try to find ways to reach the pain or dysfunction. Most are just temporary fixes with negative consequences. Debbie Jo's techniques have found the way to massage the brain. The name of her therapy, Journey Into You, is an accurate description of what she does and what needs to take place to heal and truly come back into balance at a neurological level. She uses a combination of light stroking, tapping, and compression randomly over key parts of the body while clothed. The sequence of the protocol talks to the brain and puts you in a deep state of relaxation, helping the brain to reset and turn off the switch. She also uses muscle testing and other techniques to help pinpoint when you added stuff to your suitcase, souvenirs. Using vibrational techniques helps you process those memories and emotions as they leave the suitcase. She was able to accomplish in 3 sessions what I was trying to effect for 20 years. She was able to turn off my constant flight response from trauma and help unload the baggage I had been carrying for years. It made a massive difference. I can handle stress more effectively. People and situations that used to trigger or panic me do not affect me now. My students and coworkers have commented that I seem more relaxed. I have enjoyed spending time with my children a lot more. Sleep and focus have all improved. What I treasure most from this experience is knowing what it finally feels like to be relaxed, content, and happy through the day, to not feel like I must be on guard and ready for danger. Debbie Jo was able to finally turn that switch off. At the core of most physical and emotional pathologies and problems is the brain and the autonomic nervous system. Debbie Jo's unique techniques are a crucial piece of the puzzle when it comes to holistic healing of the body, mind, and soul. And again, this was written by Tara, and her experience of the combination of the 2 techniques together. Very powerful. Again, standalone, they're powerful. Combination, they're powerful and life-changing. So that brings me now to the Journey Into Healing program. So I want to share this with you because as of right now, I am the only one in the world that does either of these techniques. The only one that uses these techniques, the only one that is sharing and processing people's past traumas, past things that are standing in the way through these 2 techniques. So I've decided that I need to put together a Journey Into Healing program, which will consist of taking you on your own healing journey. And while doing that, you'll be receiving both techniques throughout the whole journey, and having then, at the end of the healing program, to have the opportunity to learn both of these amazing techniques for yourself. So I believe that this last year has changed a lot of people's lives. I think their lives have changed in health, in finances, in work, in relationships, in their home. I think people are taking a look, whether it's forced or otherwise, at where they are in life and where they would really like to be. I think people are taking a look at not only where they are in life, but what they're doing in life. Is this the correct relationship for me? How do I really feel in this? Is this really what I want to do work-wise for the rest of my life? What am I gaining from this? Is this in alignment with who I am? I believe this last year, through this pandemic and all the changes that took place for all of us, has made a lot of shifts. And the shifts, I believe, are to get us to that place of living our unique divine purpose. I know that this last year has changed my life. I still have probably 10 to 15 regular clients, massage clients, because a lot of my elderly people still like the massages, that have not come back to me since the beginning of this pandemic. They were so fearful that they stayed home through the whole process, and even now that it's okay to go out and they've been vaccinated, they've gotten accustomed to just staying in their place. So everybody's taking a look at who they are, where they are, what they're doing, and making some very big changes. I'm seeing that everywhere. So this is an opportunity to change your life if this resonates with you. If it doesn't, that's fine as well. Continue to come into the group and learn and get assistance and make friends and just, feel that feeling of love and connection as long as you want, and add to it. And I appreciate you being here. But if this feels like something that resonates with you, go ahead and put a message in the comments and let's schedule a consult call. We'll set up a DM and schedule a consult call to talk a little bit more about it. So some of the questions that I've been asked are, do you have to be in the healing realm? You're welcome, Nancy. Thank you. I appreciate that comment. Do you have to be in the healing realm in order to do this work? No, you don't. You can just, if you're out of a job because of the pandemic and you're looking for what you want to do, you can step right into this and create a business if you wanted to afterward to start helping people in your life. You don't have to have been a massage therapist. You don't have to have been a therapist of any kind. You don't need a certification in anything. However, this program will give you a certification in both the Downregulate and the Journey Into You work. You could be someone who just wants something more or different in your life, something that's in more of an alignment with your purpose, something that gives you a purpose, because I can't even express in words the way I feel at the end of the day, every day when I'm working with people and seeing the changes that this is making in their lives. Hearing the comments that they have when I do a follow-up call or when they come back in for another session, the comments that they have received from people in their life, their family, their friends, their co-workers. It is very powerful, and that's very gratifying to me to be a part of that process with them. So again, if this sounds like you, post me in the comments and post me in the comments and then let's connect. Okay, so back to some of the questions. I had some questions about the terminology that I use. Again, I'm taking a little more time today than I normally do, so I'll go through this briefly, but I'll also repost the video that talks about it. Journey Into You, we've covered that. Emotional energy. Emotional energy is the energy that is experienced in what you're feeling from an experience you've had. Okay, it's the emotional energy that's attached to that experience. What did that feel like? And I'm looking at my paper. I wrote them all down. So vibrations. All right, everything is energy, and energy has a frequency or a vibration. I refer to it sometimes differently. So that vibration is, what does that feeling feel like? So like when we do the high vibe card pull, and we pull a card, let's say like joy, when I ask you to bring in that feeling, what does that feel like? That's the vibration of that word, okay? And when I refer to low level vibration, those are the words that don't feel good. All right, anxious, sad, disappointed, depression, those things don't feel comfortable. So I can refer to it as uncomfortable vibration or low level vibration. And on the other hand of that, or the other side of that, is high level or vibrations that feel good. Okay? High level vibration and comfortable vibrations. Those would be things like love, joy, peace, happiness. Those things that make you feel good. Again, there's two different emotions, the high level, the low level. We only have two emotions. We either feel good or we don't. We give them all the different names that we attach to it. You may hear me refer to our suitcase. In Debbie Joe 101, it's a video in the guides, I refer to our suitcase as being our physical body, okay? And we take this journey called life and we pick up souvenirs. You'll hear me refer to souvenirs. Now, the souvenirs are the emotional components to every experience that we have, right? So we pick up souvenirs from every experience. They might be high-level vibrations. They might be low-level vibrations. But inevitably, we store them in our suitcase, okay? Let's see, what other ones? Oh, you hear me say all the time, it all begins within, which it is. Our journey is about us. It's not about who's in your life. It's not about what you do. It's not about what you've done. It's not about anything out here. Our journey is about us. And so when I talk about it all begins within and or live from the inside out, I'm talking about living from that place, your unique divine soul, your unique divine being, and our true or pure vibrations. Those are other things you'll hear me say. Because we have all those vibrations, we came with them, we are them as a spirit being. All the feel-good vibrations, okay? All the high vibrations. So we need to live from that place. Live from the inside out, again, and it all begins within. If you need more clarification, please don't hesitate to send me a message. And I love that people are putting in questions. I love that. So, so looking within, we do that when we pull the high vibration card pull. So those of you that don't know what the high vibe cards are, it's 72 different high vibe words, high vibration words that I was spiritually guided to create for people to use on their own to raise their vibration. So if we pull the vibration of joy, then we want to focus on that. We want to go within and ask our heart center to please share with us what our vibration of joy looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like. It may be a picture, a color, a feeling, or a sound. And then utilize that in every aspect, every way we can. Until you pull another card or until you feel like it's complete. So high vibe cards, I talked about that. Live with from the inside out. Go to your heart center. I just briefly spoke about that. Some people have asked questions of what do you mean by that when I say go to your heart center? To me, the easiest way to explain that is just use your imagination and see yourself, a little you or a ball of light or whatever you want to be, moving down into where you imagine your heart is, and then just going to the center of that place. I've heard of different ways of taking an elevator. I've heard of different ways of climbing down a rope. Whatever resonates with you. For me, I often see myself as a little cowgirl, and if any of you know me personally, you'll know that I love the country life. I love country dancing. I love all things country, cowboy boots, all of that. So I'm this little country girl in a skirt with my hat and cowboy boots on, and I just see myself go to that space. So it can be anything. Use your imagination. So I think that I have covered all of those questions and all of the terminology. Let me just look. Oh, a couple of other questions were, do you have to have had a traumatic life? No, you don't. You don't have to have had a traumatic event. Asking for 2 cookies and only get 1 can be traumatic for a child, but in our adult mind, we don't look at it that way. Can it be done distant, on the phone, or in Zoom? Yes, absolutely. Both of these techniques can be. Can you do couples at the same time? No. Or parents and children at the same time? No. Because energy is energy. Energy travels. And if I'm working with a child and the experience that comes up is with their parent, which inevitably it will be because that's who was in their life at the time, they may hesitate about talking about it, or the parent's energy of their thoughts about it will interfere. So that's a no and a no. However, if the child is too young to do the process themselves, I will use the parent as a surrogate, and the child can be in the room at that time. I did that with a 3-year-old. All right, so do I use the Journey Into You cards in sessions? Yes, occasionally. More often in a downregulate session, we are using the Journey Into You cards. Is it like a massage? No, it is not. Downregulate, you are on the table, you're fully clothed. It's a series of different types of touch. No oil, no nothing like that. So no, it's not like a massage. I'm not manipulating the tissue. And Journey Into You, again, you're on the table, my hands are on your shoulders. So no, it is not like a massage. Do I have to relive the trauma or the experience? You do not have to relive it. There will be a short amount of time, as I said earlier, that you'll go back to the memory and you will feel what it felt like briefly. Can you release a vibration in one session? Yes, absolutely yes. Sometimes more than just one. So I believe that I have touched on everything. So if you want to hear that part of my story as in a video, how the Journey Into You came about, we already have one. All it takes is one. Betty wants it, so I'll put that video together. I will also put a link to these other videos that have a little more explanation to them. Please feel free to send in questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. And thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. I appreciate each and every one of you that are in the group. And I'm not sorry that this one took longer than normal, but it did take longer than normal, so thank you for hanging in there with me. And if you're watching live, make a comment or an emoji. And if you're watching the replay, please post replay in the comments. Enjoy the rest of your day, and as always, enjoy your journey.